Alright, let's make this explanation even simpler and more detailed, step by step. Hasht 1. Who was Vasishtiputra Pulumai? Vasishtiputra Pulumai was the son of Gautamiputra Satakani. He became king after his father. His coins and what they tell us. Coins from Pulumai's time have been found in Andhra Pradesh. This tells us that he ruled that area. Finding coins is like finding proof of where a king had power. What happened during Pulumai's rule? Pulumai was busy in the eastern part of his kingdom. While he was focused on the east, his enemies, the Shakas, took back some of their land. Example, imagine Pulumai guarding the front door of a house. While he is focused there, enemies sneak in through the back door and take part of the house. 2. Who was Yajnashri Satakani? Yajnashri Satakani was another important king of the Satavahana dynasty. He ruled after Vasishtiputra Pulumai. He was one of the last powerful Satavahana kings. His coins and what they show. Yajnashri's coins are special because they have pictures of ships. Some ships have one sail single-masted. Some ships have two sails, double-masted. Why are ships important? The ships show that Yajnashri's kingdom traded by sea. Trade means selling and buying goods like spices, pearls and cloth with other countries. Example, think of the ships as ancient delivery trucks carrying treasures across the ocean to exchange for goods from faraway lands. 3. What did Yajnashri Satakani do? Fought the Shakas. He continued the fight against the Shakas, trying to protect his kingdom. He might not won them completely, but he tried hard to stop them. Example, imagine a king fighting bullies, Shakas, to stop them from stealing his land. Controlled a large area. Yajnashri ruled both the eastern Deccan, Andhra Pradesh, and the western Deccan, Maharashtra, the last Satavahana king to control such a large area. Example, think of a king controlling two big cities at the same time, one in the east and one in the west. 4. Why are coins important in history? Coins give us a lot of information. 1. Where the king ruled. If we find a king's coins in an area, it means the king ruled there. 2. What the king valued. If coins show ships, it means the king cared about sea trade. 3. Who was powerful. If coins from two kings are found in the same area, it can tell us if one king defeated the other. Finding coins is like finding a piece of a puzzle that tells us about history. 5. What do the ships tell us? The ships on Yajnashri's coins show his kingdom was connected to the sea. He likely traded goods like spices for cooking and medicine, pearls for jewelry, cotton cloth used for clothing. These goods were very valuable and could have been traded with faraway countries like Rome. Example, imagine a king sending ships loaded with spices to another country and receiving gold or silver in return. 6. How big was Yajnashri's kingdom? Eastern side, he controlled areas like Andhra Pradesh. Western side, he ruled parts of Maharashtra. His rule stretched from the east to the west of the Deccan Plateau. Summary, what happened during their time? 1. Vasishtiputra Pulumai ruled after Gautamiputra Satakani. His coins show he ruled Andhra Pradesh. The Shakas took back some land while he was busy in the east. 2. Yajnashri Satakani fought against the Shakas to protect his kingdom. His coins had pictures of ships showing sea trade. He ruled both the eastern and western parts of the Deccan, making him one of the last powerful Satavahana kings. Why is this important? Coins from Pulumai and Yajnashri help us understand their rule. The ships on Yajnashri's coins tell us the Satavahanas were connected to the sea and involved in international trade. These kings worked hard to protect and grow their kingdom, even when facing strong enemies like the Shakas. Let me know if you want me to explain anything else. Let's break this down step by step in the simplest way possible. 1. Who came after Yajnashri Satakani? After Yajnashri Satakani, there were other kings of the Satavahana dynasty. Some of them were 1. Gautamiputra Vijaya Satakani, 2. Chanda Satakani, Vasishtiputra Vijaya Satakani, 4. Pulumavi. 2. How do we know about these kings? Some of these kings are not mentioned in old records, like the Puranas. We only know about them because of their coins. Coins help historians figure out who ruled when and where. Example, imagine finding a coin with a king's name and face on it. Even if books don't mention the king, the coin proves he existed. 3. When did the Satavahana dynasty end? The Satavahana dynasty ended in the mid-3rd century CE. This means they ruled for a long time, but eventually their kingdom broke apart. Example, think of a big sandcastle. Over time, waves wash parts of it away, and eventually it collapses completely. 4. What happened after the Satavahanas? When the Satavahana Empire ended, new kingdoms and dynasties rose in different parts of their old territory. These new rulers took over different areas. 1. Vakatakas ruled in the Deccan region. 2. Kadambas ruled in Mysore, Karnataka. 3. Abhiras ruled in Maharashtra. 4. Ruled in Andhra Pradesh. Why did new dynasties appear? When a big empire breaks, it leaves smaller pieces behind. Local leaders or powerful groups take control of these pieces. These new rulers create their own small kingdoms. Example, imagine a big cake breaking into smaller slices. Each slice is taken by a different person, just like different regions were taken by new rulers. 5. What were the new dynasties known for? 1. They became very powerful in central India. They supported art and culture. The Ajanta caves were patronized by them. 2. Kadambas. They ruled in southern India, Mysore area, known for promoting Kannada culture and literature. 3. Abhiras. They ruled in Maharashtra. Some historians think they were responsible for spreading the worship of Krishna. 4. Ikshvakas. They ruled in Andhra Pradesh, known for supporting Buddhism and building stupas and monasteries. Why did the Satavahana dynasty decline? Internal problems. Too many small kings ruling parts of the empire weakened the central power. Enemy attacks. Enemies like the Shakas took advantage of the weak Satavahanas. Economic. The tree that made the empire rich slowed down over time. Example, imagine a large tree that gets old. Its branches break one by one until the tree falls. 7. Why is this important? The Satavahanas ruled for many years and connected different parts of India through trade, culture and administration. When their empire ended, new dynasties shaped the future of different regions. Example, think of the Satavahanas as builders of a bridge. When the bridge broke, people built their own smaller bridges. Summary, what happened after Yajnashri Satakani? 1. The last kings. After Yajnashri, the kings like Gautamiputra Vijaya Satakani, Chanda Satakani, and others. 2. End of the Satavahanas. Their dynasty ended around mid-3rd century CE. The empire broke into smaller regions. 3. New dynasties. The Vakatakas, Kadambas, Abhiras, and Ikshvakus took over different parts of the Satavahana territory. 4. Why it matters. The Satavahanas left behind a legacy of trade, culture, and regional development. The new dynasties continued this legacy in their own ways. Let me know if you'd like more details. Let's break this down in a super simple way, step by step. Who were the Satavahanas? The Satavahanas were a powerful dynasty in ancient India. They ruled for many years, and they wanted people to respect and accept them as great rulers. 2. What does Brahmana descent mean? The Satavahanas claimed they were Brahmanas. Brahmanas were priests and scholars in ancient India, very respected in society. They said their family followed the Vedic traditions. The Vedic tradition is connected to ancient religious texts, the Vedas, and rituals. Example, think of the Satavahanas as saying, we come from an important family that follows all the rules and traditions respected by people. What does the Nashik inscription say? An inscription is like a message carved in stone. The Nashik inscription was written by Gautami Balashri, the mother of King Gautamiputra Satakani. It describes Gautamiputra as one Ekabhamhana. This means a peerless Brahmana, or the best Brahmana. To Katyadapa Manamada, this means one who destroyed the pride of the Kshatriyas. Kshatriyas were warriors. and Gautamiputra defeated many of them. What about Satakani I and the Vedic sacrifices? Satakani, an earlier king, performed great Vedic sacrifices. These were big religious ceremonies described in the ancient texts. Example of sacrifices: Ashvamedha Yajna, horse sacrifice, and Rajasuya Yajna, kingly sacrifice. The Nanagat inscription written by his wife Naganika talks about these sacrifices. Why did they do these sacrifices? To show people they were powerful and connected to divine blessings. This made their rule look legitimate, rightful, and accepted by everyone. Example, think of it like a leader saying, I follow the most important traditions, so I'm the right person to lead. 5. What is use of matronyms? Matronyms mean using the mother's name to describe someone. Example, Gautamiputra Satakani. Gautami, his mother's name. Putra was son, so his name means son of Gautami. Why is this important? Usually, people used fathers' names in ancient India. The Satavahanas using their mothers' names was unique. 6. Does this mean they had a matriarchal system? Matriarchal system means women are in charge or lead society. Matrilineal system means property or power passes through the mother's side. Did the Satavahanas have this system? No. Just because they used their mothers' names doesn't mean they had a matriarchal or matrilineal system. They still followed the Brahmanical tradition, which was mostly patriarchal, male-dominated. Why did they use their mothers' names then? Probably to honour and show respect to their mothers. It also helped highlight their Brahmana lineage, if their mothers were from respected Brahmana families. Example, imagine a child saying, I'm the son of this amazing, respected mother, to gain more respect. 7. Why is this important? The Satavahanas used religion and tradition to strengthen their power. By claiming to be Brahmanas and performing Vedic sacrifices, they showed they were divinely chosen rulers. Using their mothers' names made them look unique and respectful toward family values. Example, think of a leader today emphasizing their family's good name and traditions to gain trust and loyalty from people. 8. Summary. 1. Satavahanas claimed to be Brahmanas and followed Vedic traditions to show they were rightful rulers. 2. Nashik inscription called Gautamiputra Satakani the best Brahmana and destroyer of proud warriors. 3. Satakani I performed great Vedic sacrifices to gain political legitimacy. 4. They used mothers' names, matronyms, in their titles, which was unique. 5. This doesn't mean they had a matriarchal system. It was just a way to honour their mothers and emphasise Brahmana roots. Let me know if you'd like more examples or details. Let's break it down even more, step by step, in the simplest way. 1. Satavahanas did not rule every part of Deccan directly. The Satavahana kings were powerful, but they couldn't control the entire Deccan, southern India, by themselves. They called themselves Lords of Dakshinapatha, meaning Lords of the South, but this was more of a title than a fact. Like today's governments rely on state governments, the Satavahanas relied on local rulers to manage smaller regions. 2. Who were the local rulers? Before the Satavahanas came to power, there were local rulers. Maharathis, big chariot warriors, lords of large lands. These local rulers didn't disappear after the Satavahanas became kings. Instead, they joined the Satavahana system and helped manage the empire. 3. What did these local rulers do? These local rulers worked under the Satavahanas. They still ruled their own small areas, but showed loyalty to the big Satavahana king. They, 1. Helped maintain peace in their areas. 2. Collected taxes for the Satavahanas. 3. Sometimes gave soldiers to help in wars. 4. Did they stay important? Yes. These local rulers stayed important even after the Satavahanas became the big rulers. Example, local rulers like the Maharathi Hasti and families like the Kuras and Anandas remained powerful in their areas. 5. Evidence of these rulers. We know about these rulers through 1. Coins. Coins made by local rulers show that they were in charge of their regions. 2. Inscriptions, writings on stone or metal from that time mention these rulers. 6. What else did local rulers do? Donations to religion. Local rulers donated money and land to build Buddhist caves. Their names are written in these caves. Example, if you visit a Buddhist cave in Maharashtra, you might find an inscription saying, "This cave was built with the donation of Maharathi Hasti." Marriages. Local rulers also married into the Satavahana family or other local ruling families. This created strong bonds and kept everyone united. How was the Satavahana Empire divided? The empire was divided into large regions called aharas. Aharas calls big districts. Each ahara had officials to manage it. 8. Who were the officials? The Satavahanas appointed different types of officials to help them rule. 1. Amatyas, ministers who gave advice to the king. 2. Mahamatras, senior government officers who managed the aharas. 3. Mahasenapatis, military leaders who led the army. 4. Scribes, people who wrote records and government documents. 9. How were villages managed? Villages were not directly controlled by the king. They were managed by gramikas, village headmen. Example, imagine the king as the head of the country, the ahara officials as district officers, and the gramikas as mayors who took care of villages. 10. Why did the Satavahanas need local rulers? The Satavahana Empire was very large, and it was impossible for the king to control every small part. By using local rulers like the Maharathis and Mahabhojas, the Satavahanas, 1. Saved time and effort. 2. Made sure local people followed their rules. 3. Avoided rebellion because the local rulers kept their power. How did this system work? Think of the Satavahanas as the CEO of a company. The local rulers, Maharathis and Mahabhojas, are like branch managers who report to the CEO. The village headmen, gramikas, are like team leaders managing small teams. Each level works together to make the system run smoothly. What happened after the Satavahanas? When the Satavahana dynasty ended, their empire broke into smaller kingdoms. Many of these local rulers became independent again. 1. The Satavahanas didn't directly rule the entire Deccan. They relied on local rulers. 2. These rulers were called Maharajas. 3. Local rulers helped with taxes, soldiers, and keeping peace. 4. The empire was divided into aharas, managed by officials like Amatyas and Mahamatras. 5. Villages were governed by gramikas, headmen. 6. The system allowed the Satavahanas to rule a large empire without problems. If you need even more clarity, let me know. Let me explain this in even more detail, but still keep it simple and easy for you to understand. What are land grants? Land grants mean giving pieces of land to someone as a gift. These gifts were given by kings to priests, monks, or religious institutions. Sometimes these lands came with special rules or benefits for the new owner. When did this happen? During the Satavahana dynasty and the Kshatrapa period, which was a long time ago, 1st century BCE to 2nd century CE. These are some of the earliest records of kings gifting land. How do we know? Inscriptions carved on stones or inside caves tell us these stories. These inscriptions act like ancient records or announcements made by the kings and queens. Examples of land grants. 1. Naganik's inscription, 1st century BCE. Who was Naganika? She was the queen of Satakani, a powerful Satavahana king. What did she do? At a place called Nanagat, she left an inscription saying her husband performed big Vedic rituals like the Ashvamedha Yagna, a horse sacrifice done to show power and authority. During the ritual, they gifted villages to priests as a reward. Why was this important? Giving land during a ritual was a way for kings to show they were strong, religious, and generous. 2. Ushavadatta's inscription, 2nd century CE. Who was Ushavadatta? He was a prince and the son-in-law of a Kshatrapa king. What did he do? In the Nashik caves, he left an inscription saying he donated 16 villages to gods and brahmanas, priests. He also gifted a field, farmland, to Buddhist monks living in the caves. Why was this important? Donating to both Hindu priests and Buddhist monks showed religious tolerance. It also earned him spiritual merit. 3. Gautamiputra Satakani's inscription. Who was Gautamiputra Satakani? He was one of the greatest Satavahana kings. What did his inscription say? He gave land to Buddhist monks. This land was 1. Free from royal interference. No soldiers or officials could disturb the land. 2. Free from taxes. The monks didn't have to pay anything to the king. 3. Protected from salt digging. No one could dig salt on the land. This was the first time such specific privileges were mentioned in history. Why did kings give land? 1. To show generosity. By giving gifts, the king appeared kind and generous. This made people respect him more. 2. To gain religious merit. Kings believed that donating land would bring them blessings from gods or spiritual leaders. Example, like doing a good deed today to earn good karma. 3. To strengthen their rule. By supporting priests or monks, kings gained political and spiritual support. Example, if the priest said the king was great, people were more likely to trust him. Special privileges on land grants. When kings gave land, they often added special benefits to the gift. 1. No troops. Soldiers couldn't use the land for camping or training. Example, imagine giving someone a house and saying, no one else can enter without your permission. 2. No taxes. The new owner didn't have to pay money or goods to the government. 3. No state officials. Government officers couldn't interfere or impose rules on the land. 4. No salt digging. Salt was a valuable resource, but this land was free from such activities. Why were priests and monks important? 1. Priests. They performed religious ceremonies that kings believed would protect their kingdom. Example, imagine someone saying prayers to keep your house safe. 2. Monks. They taught people and spread peaceful teachings. Supporting monks made the king look wise and caring. What happened because of these grants? 1. Religious growth. Temples and monasteries were built on gifted lands. This spread Hinduism and Buddhism. 2. Social harmony. By supporting both priests and monks, kings united people of different beliefs. 3. Power for the kings. The more generous the king, the more people admired and followed him. Example to understand better. Imagine you're a king. You gift a village to a priest who performed a prayer for your kingdom. Or you also give a piece of land to monks who teach people peace. The priest blesses you and tells people how great you are. The monks help spread good values. In return, your kingdom becomes peaceful and strong. Summary. 1. Kings gave land as gifts during the Satavahana and Kshatrapa periods. 2. These gifts were recorded in inscriptions like those at Nanagat and Nashik caves. 3. Land gifts came with special privileges like no taxes or interference. 4. The purpose was to gain spiritual blessings, show generosity, and strengthen political power. 5. These actions helped spread religion, maintain social harmony, and enhance the king's reputation. If you still have any doubts, feel free to ask. I'll explain it further. Alright, let's learn about the Satavahanas in the simplest and clearest way possible. Who were the Satavahanas? The Satavahanas were a ruling dynasty in ancient India. They ruled a region called the Deccan, central and southern India. Their rule started around 60 BCE and lasted until 225 CE. Where was their capital? Their capital was Pratishtana. Today this place is called Python, located in Maharashtra. What were they also called? The Satavahanas were also known as the Andhras. This name is mentioned in ancient texts called the Puranas. How did the Satavahanas start ruling? Before the Satavahanas, the Mauryan Empire ruled much of India. When the Mauryas declined, lost power, the Satavahanas took control of the Deccan region. Why are they important? They were among the first major dynasties to rule the Deccan. They connected North and South India through trade and culture. How do we know about them? We learn about the Satavahanas from two main sources. 1. Puranas, ancient Indian texts that tell stories about King Zods. 2. Inscriptions, writings carved on stone or metal that describe important events.
Important inscriptions.
Nasik inscriptions, found in caves near Nasik, modern-day Nashik, Maharashtra. These writings tell us about the reign of Gautamiputra Satakani, one of the greatest Satavahana kings. 2. Nanagut inscriptions, found in Nanagut, a mountain pass in Maharashtra. They describe Queen Naganika and her husband Satakani art, an early Satavahana king. These inscriptions mention Vedic rituals like the Ashvamedha Yagna, horse sacrifice. Who was Gautamiputra Satakani? He was the most powerful king of the Satavahana dynasty. His name means son of Gautami, showing how important mothers were in their culture. He is famous for 1. Expanding the empire by defeating other kings, 2. Supporting Brahmanical traditions and performing Vedic sacrifices. Why were the Satavahanas unique? 1. Trade and economy. They controlled important trade routes between North and South India. Example, think of them as people managing a busy highway where goods and ideas were exchanged. 2. Cultural harmony. They supported Hinduism and Buddhism, showing religious tolerance. Example, they donated land to both priests and monks. 3. Use of Prakrit language. They used Prakrit, a local language, in their inscriptions instead of Sanskrit, making their culture accessible to people. Example, to understand the Satavahanas. Imagine a family that starts ruling a village after the previous leader leaves. This family sets up their home, capital, in the middle of the village. They bring people together by building roads, trading goods, and performing prayers for everyone's happiness. Over time, they write about their achievements on stones, so future generations know what they did. Summary. 1. The Satavahanas ruled the Deccan region from 60 BCE to 225 CE. 2. Their capital was Pratishtana in Maharashtra. 3. They're also called the Andhras in ancient texts. 4. They rose to power after the decline of the Mauryan Empire. 5. Inscriptions like those at Nasik and Nanagat tell us about their rule. 6. They were known for supporting trade, promoting both Hinduism, writing in the Prakrit language. If you have more questions or want me to explain something else about them, let me know. I'm here to help you. Alright, let's learn about the important kings of the Satavahana dynasty in the simplest way possible. I'll break it down step by step. Who were the Satavahanas? The Satavahanas ruled in ancient India, mainly in the Deccan region, modern Maharashtra, Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, and parts of Karnataka. They were powerful kings who ruled between 60 BCE and 225 CE. Now let's look at their important kings and what they did. 1. Simuka, founder of the Satavahana dynasty. Who was Simuka? Simuka was the first king of the Satavahana dynasty. He started the Satavahana rule in 60 BCE. What did Simuka do? 1. Defeated the Kanvas. The Kanvas ruled in Magadha, modern Bihar. Simuka fought against their last ruler and took control of the kingdom. 2. Established the Satavahana dynasty. After defeating the Kanvas, Simuka declared himself king. He ruled for 23 years and made his family powerful. What happened to him? Simuka was killed by his own brother, Kanha. 2. Kanha, second king. Who was Kanha? Kanha was the brother of Simuka. He became king after killing Simuka. What did Kanha do? 1. Expanded the empire southward. Kanha made the Satavahana Empire larger by conquering areas in the southern Deccan. Example, imagine someone expanding their house to include nearby gardens and fields. 2. Strengthened the dynasty. Kanha ensured the family's power continued to grow. Who took over after him? Kanha was succeeded by Simuka's son, Satakani I. 3. Satakani I, a great early king. Who was Satakani I? Satakani I was the son of Simuka. He became king after Kanha. He is considered one of the greatest early kings of the Satavahana dynasty. What did Satakani I do? 1. Expanded the empire to the west and south. He conquered regions like Western Malwa, modern Madhya Pradesh, and Berar, modern Vidarbha in Maharashtra. 2. performed Ashvamedha sacrifices. The Ashvamedha was a grand Vedic ritual performed by kings to show their power and authority. Example, it's like throwing a huge celebration to let everyone know who's the boss. 3. Earned the title Dakshina Pathapi. This means Lord of the Southern Regions. It showed that Satakani controlled much of southern India. Why is he important? Satakani I made the Satavahanas a powerful dynasty. He set the stage for future kings to rule successfully. Simple example to remember their story. Think of the Satavahana dynasty like a family building a large empire. 1. Simukha was the one who started it by defeating a neighbouring kingdom, like winning a big chess game. 2. Kanha, his brother, expanded the family's territory even further, like adding new rooms to a house. 3. Satakani I, Simukha's son, made the family famous by winning many more battles and performing big rituals, like organising a grand party to show off their success. Summary of the 3 kings. Who were they? What did they do? What did they do? Simukha, founder of the dynasty, defeated Canvas, started the Satavahana rule. Simukha's brother, second king, expanded the empire to the south. Simukha's son, great early ruler, conquered Malwa, Berar, performed Ashvamedha. These kings helped the Satavahanas rule for over 300 years. They were known for supporting Brahmanical traditions, performing Vedic sacrifices and promoting trade. Their inscriptions, like those at Nasik and Nanagat, give us details about their reign. Let me know if you'd like me to explain anything more about them. Let's learn about Satakani II and Hala, 2 important kings of the Satavahana dynasty, in the simplest way possible. I will explain step by step so that everything is crystal clear. Who was Satakani II? Satakani II was one of the kings of the Satavahana dynasty. He ruled for a long time, making him the longest ruling king of this dynasty. What did he do? 1. Mentioned in the Hathigumpha inscription. The Hathigumpha inscription was written by Kharavela, a king from Kalinga, modern Odisha. In this inscription, Satakani VI is described as the enemy of Kharavela. This means the 2 kings probably fought wars or had conflicts. 2. Maintained the Satavahana Empire. He worked hard to keep the Satavahana kingdom strong during his long rule. Why is he important? He helped the Satavahana dynasty survive for many years by being a steady and strong ruler.
Who was Hala?
Hala was the 17th king of the Satavahana dynasty. He ruled for 5 years, which is much shorter than Satakani VI. What happened during Hala's rule? 1. Shakas became powerful. Before Hala became king, the Satavahanas had been losing power. The Shakas, another powerful dynasty, pushed the Satavahanas southwards. The western Deccan, modern Maharashtra and Gujarat, was taken over by a Shaka king named Nahapana. What makes famous? Hala is remembered not for wars, but for his contribution to literature. He wrote a book called Gatha Saptasati, also called Satasai. What is Gatha Saptasati? It is a collection of 700 short poems written in the Prakrit language. The theme of the book is love and relationships. Example, think of it as a collection of small, sweet love stories or songs. Why is it special? Gatha Saptasati gives us a glimpse of the life and emotions of ordinary people during Hala's time. It's written in Prakrit, which was a language spoken by common people, not just scholars or elites. A comparison between Satakani II and Hala.
Satakani II?
Earlier in the dynasty was weaker. Position, longest ruling Satavahana king, 17th king of the dynasty. Time period, earlier in the dynasty. Later, when the dynasty was weaker. Famous for long reign and conflict with Kharavela. Writing Gatha Saptasati, main challenge, fighting Kharavela, dealing with Shaka invasions. Legacy, kept the kingdom stable, contributed to Indian literature. Extra information for better understanding.
Who were the Shakas?
The Shakas were foreign rulers who came from Central Asia. They controlled Western India during Hala's time. Nahapana, a Shaka king, was very powerful and took over Satavahana territories in the Western Deccan. What was Prakrit? Prakrit was a simple language spoken by ordinary people in ancient India. Unlike Sanskrit, which was mostly used by priests and scholars, Prakrit was used in everyday life. Writing in Prakrit, like Hala did, shows he wanted to connect with common people. Simple example to remember. Imagine a long relay race. 1. Satavahans 2 ran for a very long time, keeping the team strong and steady. 2. Later, Hala joined the race when the team was losing ground to competitors, the Shakas. Instead of focusing only on running, he wrote a book during his break to inspire everyone with stories of love.
Summary.
1. Satavahans 2 was a strong and long-ruling king who fought against powerful enemies like Karavala. 2. Hala, a later king, is famous book Gathasaptasati, which contains 700 short poems in Prakrit, mostly about love. 3. During Hala's time, the Shakas became very strong and pushed the Satavahanas southward. Let me know if you want to explore any part in more detail. Let's learn about Gautamiputra Satakani, the greatest king of the Satavahana dynasty. Step by step, in the simplest and easiest way, we'll make sure every detail is clear and easy to understand, like teaching a complete beginner. Who was Gautamiputra Satakani? 1. Gautamiputra Satakani was the most important king of the Satavahana dynasty. 2. He ruled for 24 years, from 106 CE to 130 CE. Why is he important? 1. Restored Satavahana power. Before his rule, the Satavahanas were losing their power. Gautamiputra brought back their lost glory and made the empire strong again. 2. Destroyed enemies. He is called the destroyer of 3 powerful groups. Shakas, foreign rulers who controlled parts of Western India. Pahalavas, also called Parthians, another group of invaders. Yavanas, Greeks who settled in parts of India. Example, think of Gautamiputra as a strong leader who defeated the bullies, Shakas, Pahalavas, Yavanas, and protected his kingdom. What were his achievements? 1. Conquered a huge area. Gautamiputra captured the whole of the Deccan region, modern central and southern India. His empire stretched from the Krishna River in the south to Malwa and Saurashtra, Gujarat, in the north, from Berar, modern Vidarbha, Maharashtra, in the east, to the Konkan coast in the west. Example, imagine ruling a kingdom as big as central and southern India combined. He ruled from the coastlines to the plains. 2. Victory at Nahapana. Nahapana was a powerful Shaka king who ruled Malwa. Gautamiputra defeated Nahapana and took back many territories. This victory made him famous as a strong and capable ruler. What do we know about him? 1. Nasik inscription. His achievements are written in an inscription at Nasik by his mother, Gautamibai. Example, imagine your mother proudly writing a story about all the great things you did and putting it on a wall for everyone to see. That's what Gautami Balasri did for her son. Number 2. Title Eka Brahmana. He was called Eka Brahmana, meaning the one true Brahmana. This shows his support for Brahmanism, Hinduism. 3. Balanced support. Even though he supported Brahmanism, he also gave donations to Buddhists. Example, he was like a kind king who helped everyone, no matter their beliefs. What kind of person was he? 1. Strong and brave. He fought and defeated powerful enemies like the Shakas and Nahapana. 2. Fair and kind. He supported both Brahmanism and Buddhism, showing he cared for all his people. 3. Loyal to his empire. He expanded his empire and kept it safe. Simple example to understand his rule. Imagine a school where the oldest student, Shakas, Pahalavas, Yavanas, are bullying the younger ones, Satavahanas. The school's leader, Gautamiputra, steps in, defeats the bullies, and makes the school a happy and peaceful place again. He also ensures that all students, regardless of their groups, Brahmanism or Buddhism, are treated equally and given opportunities to grow. Why is Gautamiputra Satakani remembered? 1. He made the Satavahanas powerful again. 2. He defeated dangerous enemies like the Shakas and Nahapana. 3. He ruled a huge empire and kept it united. 4. He supported different religions and treated everyone fairly. Bonus information. 1. Coins. Coins from his reign show his titles and achievements. Example, coins were like his advertisements showing everyone how great he was. 2. Legacy. After his death, his son, Vasisthiputra Pulumavi, continued to rule.
Summary.
Gautamiputra Satakani was the greatest king of the Satavahana dynasty. He ruled from 106 CE to 130 CE and brought back the lost power of his kingdom. He defeated the Shakas, Pahalavas and Yavanas and expanded his empire to cover most of central and southern India. His victories, like defeating Nahapana, are recorded in Nasik inscription by his mother. He supported both Brahmanism and Buddhism, showing he was a fair and just ruler. Let me know if you'd like any part explained even more clearly. Alright, let's learn about Vasisthiputra Pulumavi in the simplest way possible. I'll explain this step by step like a story. Who was Vasisthiputra Pulumavi? 1. A long time ago there was a kingdom called the Satavahana Empire in India. 2. The king of this empire was Gautamiputra Satakani. He was a strong and powerful ruler. 3. When Gautamiputra Satakani grew old, his son, Vasisthiputra Pulumavi, became the next king. Think of it like how a son takes over his father's work or business. What did Vasisthiputra Pulumavi do? 1. Vasisthiputra Pulumavi became king and ruled wisely. A king's job is to protect his people and make the kingdom stronger. 2. He worked hard to make his kingdom bigger. Imagine a boy building a bigger sandcastle by adding more sand. This is like what Pulumavi did. 3. He expanded his kingdom all the way to the mouth of the Krishna River. The mouth of a river means the place where the river meets the sea. What is so special about him? 1. Pulumavi wanted to show that his kingdom was powerful, not just on land but also on water. 2. He made coins with pictures of ships on them. A ship is a big boat used to travel across oceans. Why a ship? Because it shows naval strength and trade. What do the coins tell us? 1. These coins are proof that the Satavahana Empire was good at using ships. Example, if you see a medal with a horse on it, it tells you that someone was good at horse riding. Similarly, the coins show that Pulumavi's empire was good at naval power and maritime trade. 2. Naval power means being strong in controlling water and ships. Example, like having a strong navy to protect your land from pirates or enemies. 3. Maritime trade means buying and selling goods using ships across the sea. Example, imagine your friend lives on an island and you send gifts by ship. That's trade. What else happened in the Satavahana Empire? 1. After Pulumavi, other kings ruled the empire. 2. The last great king of the Satavahana Empire was Yajnashri Satakani. He also did good things for the kingdom, but the Satavahana Empire started to become weaker after him. Why is Pulumavi important? 1. He helped make the Satavahana Empire strong and famous. 2. He showed how important it is to use both land and water to make a kingdom powerful. 3. His coins with ships remind us of India's history of trade and navy. Simple example to understand. Imagine you are building a toy kingdom. You make houses and roads for people to live on land. But you also make toy boats and a river to show how your people can travel and trade with other kingdoms. Pulumavi did the same thing. He built his kingdom on land and made sure his people could trade across the sea. Fun fact. 1. Satavahanas were one of the first Indian dynasties to use ships for trading. 2. Their coins have been found in many places showing how far they traded, possibly even with the Romans. This is why Vasisthiputra Pulumavi is remembered as a smart and strong king. Do you have any questions or want to know more? Alright, let's go even deeper into this topic and explain in super simple words. Imagine I'm telling you a story step by step. 1. Who was the king, Rajan? 1. The king, called Rajan, was like a father to the people. His main job was to protect and care for everyone in the kingdom. Example, like how a family head makes sure everyone is safe and happy. 2. People respected the king and trusted him to make the right decisions. If there were problems like fights or robberies, the king's job was to fix them.
2.
How was the kingdom managed? The Satavahana kingdom was very big, so the king divided it into smaller parts to make it easier to manage. Let's break this down. Step 1. Divide the kingdom into regions. The big kingdom was split into smaller janapadas, states or provinces. Example, imagine cutting a pizza into slices to share with friends. Step 2. Divide janapadas into districts. Each janapada was divided into smaller parts called aharas, districts. Think of these as neighborhoods or zones in a city. Step 3. Divide aharas into villages, gramas. Each ahara was divided into gramas, villages. A grama is the smallest unit where people lived and worked. 3. Who was in charge of these places? Each part of the kingdom had leaders to help the king manage everything. Let's meet them. A senapati, big boss of provinces. The senapati was the governor of a janapada, state province. Originally, this job was for military leaders, army commanders, but later they also became political leaders. B. Amatyas, district rulers. Amatyas were officials in charge of aharas, districts. They made sure the district ran smoothly, like fixing roads, collecting taxes, and solving problems. Gramika was the leader of a grama, village. Think of the Gramika as a village elder who knew everyone and helped with local issues. 4. What did ministers do? The king also had ministers to help with important tasks. Here's what they did. 1. Treasury. A minister managed the kingdom's money and made sure it was spent wisely. Example, like a piggy bank for the kingdom, money went in and out only when needed. 2. Land records. Another minister kept records of who owned land and how much tax they owed. 3. Appointments. Ministers were picked by the king. Their job was not hereditary, which means their children didn't automatically get the job.
5.
How did the kingdom earn money? The Satavahanas collected taxes from people to run the kingdom. Let's understand how this worked. A. Taxes from farmers. Farmers paid taxes on the crops they grew. Example, if a farmer grew 10 sacks of rice, he might give 1 sack as tax to the king. B. Taxes from traders. Traders paid taxes on the goods they bought and sold. Example, if someone sold 100 pots, they might give 5 pots as tax. C. Guilds. Guilds were groups of traders and craftsmen who worked together. Example, like a club of potters or weavers. These guilds also acted as bankers, lending money to people or businesses. 6. How did the king help trade? The king wanted trade to grow because it brought more money into the kingdom. Here's what he did. 1. Highways. Big smooth roads were built so traders could travel easily. Example, like modern highways connecting cities. 2. Rest houses. Rest houses were built along highways so travelers could sleep and eat. This made long journeys safer and more comfortable. 7. What was the practice of donating villages? The Satavahana rulers started a unique tradition. They donated the revenue of entire villages, money collected as taxes, to special people or groups like 1. Brahmanas, priests or religious teachers. 2. Buddhist Sangha, monks or nuns. Why did they do this? To support religion and culture. It also showed the king's generosity and care for spiritual leaders. And 8. What about agriculture? 1. The king encouraged people to clear forests and grow more crops. More farming equals more food, it's more taxes for the kingdom. 2. Example. Imagine turning an empty backyard into a vegetable garden. The more vegetables you grow, the more you can eat or sell. Example to understand the whole system. Imagine you're running a big company. 1. CEO, king, the boss who makes all the big decisions. 2. Regional managers, senapati, handle big areas like states. 3. Branch managers, handle smaller zones like districts. 4. Team leaders, gramika, manage small teams or villages. 5. Accountants, ministers, keep track of money and records. This way the company kingdom runs smoothly. Why was this system smart? 1. It divided work so the king didn't have to manage everything alone. 2. It helped the kingdom stay organized and strong. 3. It promoted trade, farming, and religion, which made people happy. Does this explanation make everything clear now? Let me know if you want me to break down anything else. Let's break down the economy during the Satavahana rule in the simplest way possible. Imagine we are telling a story so it's easy to understand. 1. Trade and industry, making and selling things. A. What happened? 1. During the Satavahana period, trade, buying and selling, and industry, making things, became very strong. Example, imagine people selling pots, clothes and oil everywhere in big markets. 2. Merchants, business people, worked together by forming guilds, groups or clubs. Why? So they could sell more goods, travel safely and help each other. Example, think of guilds like a big team of shopkeepers working together. 3. Craftsmen, people who make things like potters, weavers and oil pressers, also created their own guilds. Example, potters made clay pots, weavers made clothes and oil pressers made oils. B. Why was this important? 1. These guilds made it easier for people to share ideas and grow their businesses. 2. It helped the kingdom become richer and more famous.
Part 2.
Coins for trade. A. What did they use for money? 1. The Satavahanas used silver coins called kashapanas for trading. Example, imagine going to a market and buying things using shiny silver coins instead of bartering, exchanging goods. B. Why was this important? 1. Coins made trading easier because people didn't have to exchange items directly. Example, instead of trading rice for a pot, they could just pay with coins. 2. This system allowed merchants to trade more easily across long distances. 3. Overseas trade with other countries. A. What happened? 1. The Satavahanas were not just trading within their kingdom, they traded with other countries across the sea. Example, ships carried spices, silk and jewels to other countries and brought back goods like wine or cloth. 2. A famous Greek geographer named Ptolemy wrote about Satavahana ports, places where ships load and unload goods. Part B. Important ports. 1. The greatest port of the Satavahanas was Kalyani on the west coast, Deccan region. Example, Kalyani was like a busy airport for ships in the ancient world. 2. Other important ports were Gandakasala and Ganjam on the east coast. Example, imagine these ports as big gateways for trading goods with other countries. Why was all this important? 1. Trade made the kingdom rich. Selling goods and trading with other countries brought a lot of wealth to the Satavahana kingdom. 2. Guilds made work easier. Merchants and craftsmen working together in guilds helped improve trade and business. 3. Overseas trade brought fame. Trading with other countries made the Satavahanas famous across the world. An easy example to remember. Think of the Satavahana economy like a modern shopping mall. 1. Guilds, like shops in the mall, each group, potters, weavers, had their own space to sell things. 2. Coins. Instead of trading items directly, people used coins, kashapanas, to buy and sell. 3. Ports. Imagine the mall having gates, ports, where goods come and go from faraway places. This is your masterpiece explanation of the Satavahana economy. If anything is unclear, let me know so I can make it even simpler. Let's learn about the cultural contributions of the Satavahanas in the simplest way possible. We'll go step by step like telling a story. Imagine we are talking about how the Satavahanas helped art, religion and language grow. 1. Religion, Buddhism and Brahmanism. A. Supporting 2 religions. 1. The Satavahana kings followed and supported 2 main religions. Buddhism, a religion started by Gautama Buddha, focusing on peace and kindness. Brahmanism, a form of Hinduism where Brahmins, priests, performed rituals and prayers. 2. They helped both religions by building special places. Chaityas, halls where Buddhists prayed. Viharas, resting places or monasteries for Buddhist monks. Example, imagine monks sitting peacefully in viharas, studying or meditating. B. Repairing a famous stupa. 1. A Satavahana king, Vasishtiputra Pulamai, repaired the Amaravati stupa, a large dome-shaped structure. Example, think of it like fixing an old famous temple to make it look new and beautiful too. This stupa was very important for Buddhists. It was a place of worship and learning. Surviving Brahmanism. 1. The Satavahanas also revived Brahmanism by supporting its rituals and traditions. Ashvamedha sacrifice, a grand horse ritual performed by kings to show their power. Rajashasya sacrifice, another ceremony to declare a king's authority. Example, imagine a big royal event where priests chant prayers and a king proves he's the strongest ruler. 2. Architecture, building beautiful structures. A. Nagarjunakonda. 1. The Satavahanas were great builders. Their work in Nagarjunakonda, a famous town, is very special. They built beautiful buildings, chaityas and viharas there. Example, think of Nagarjunakonda like an ancient city full of art and temples. 2. Their architecture showed how advanced and creative they were.
B.
Amaravati. 1. The Amaravati Stupa. It was decorated with carvings that told stories from Buddha's life. Example, imagine a giant dome with beautiful pictures carved into stone showing peaceful scenes from Buddhist teachings.
3. Language and literature. A. Supporting Prakrit. 1.
The Satavahanas loved the Prakrit language, which was a common language spoken by many people at that time. They wrote stories, poems, and inscriptions in Prakrit. Example, think of Prakrit as the friendly language that everyone understood. 2. Their support helped the language grow and become popular. B. Why this was important. 1. By promoting Prakrit, they made sure that their culture and ideas reached many people. 2. It also showed how inclusive they were by using a language spoken by the common people, not just elites. Why were these contributions important? 1. For religion, they balanced supporting 2 religions, Buddhism and Brahmanism, showing they respected everyone's beliefs. 2. For art and architecture, their buildings and sculptures like those in Amaravati and Nagarjunakonda are still admired today. 3. For language, by using Prakrit, they connected with ordinary people and helped preserve their culture. An easy example to remember. 1. Religion. Imagine a king who supports both a church and a temple in his city, making everyone feel included. 2. Architecture. Think of the king building a beautiful palace and repairing an old, famous building to make it look grand. 3. Language. Instead of speaking only in a difficult royal language, the king speaks in the common language so everyone can understand him. This is how the Satavahanas made their cultural contributions. If anything feels unclear, let me know and I'll make it even simpler.